Hi, this is James McCrae, author of Shh, Your Ego Says. I want to tell you about a close personal friend of mine. Actually, it might be close and personal, but not necessarily a friend. I'm talking about my ego. I spent a decade living and working in the rat race of corporate advertising. I was successful and I was miserable. Finally, I realized that I had lost track of my inner vision and sense of purpose. So I decided to sell my possessions and buy a one-way ticket to New York City to pursue my dreams of being a writer. And I fell flat on my face. I couldn't find a job, I was running out of money, and just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Hurricane Sandy hit Manhattan like a weed whacker. My apartment was destroyed, and just like that, I was homeless. With nowhere to go, I took refuge on a Caribbean island called Culebra, which is where my book begins. Left alone with my own thoughts, all of my fears and insecurities came to the surface, and I realized that these fears and insecurities were just my ego talking, and it had a lot to say. But in the distance, I heard another voice, a quieter voice that reminded me that everything would be okay. This was the voice of my higher self. Our ego is our reactive, attached mind. Our higher self is our intuition and inner guidance system. Our ego tells us that we are victims of circumstance. Our higher self tells us that we create our own reality. Our ego tells us that we live in scarcity. Our higher self tells us that we live in abundance. Everyone has an ego. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are. And Your Ego Says offers simple strategies to overthrow your ego and become the hero of your own story. The key takeaway is don't believe everything you think, because many of our decisions are made by our egos, which lead us into doubt and uncertainty. But when we learn to control our thoughts, we can silence our ego and remember that it is our birthright to be happy, creative, and free.